Good evening, Patriots. This is Praying Medic, and it is Thursday, April 11th. This is my QAnon update. Q has been a little quiet over the last few weeks, but we have a couple of Q drops I'd like to get you caught up on, and I'm going to give you some information on a few current events, things that are going on. Those of you who are following along at home, and I do recommend following along at home. You know, I make mistakes and I just have opinions. I don't claim to be the greatest Q decoder in the world, and I don't claim to be an expert. I really think that we will all get the most out of Q's posts if we research them for ourselves. So, having said that, you can find Q posts on a number of different websites. QMap.pub is one of them, QAnon.pub is another. And if you have an Android phone and you'd like to get notifications when Q is posting, you can get the QMap app. You can get the Q Alerts app. There's also a Q Alerts Lite version that is a free version. Doesn't have quite the full features, but it still gets you the notifications. My theme for this broadcast is panic. And there is a little bit of panic going on ever since Attorney General William Barr testified a couple days ago with Congress. So there was a wealth of information that Barr provided. If you know how to pick out important details, how to read body language a little bit. Barr's body language is not hard to read. he's definitely having a good time going into Congress. And if you know how to read between the lines, see, there's some interesting things in there, and I'll point out some of them that I think are relevant and people will find helpful. So this is a post from Q on April 10th, and there's a link to a news article, Fox News article, about the Russia probe. Q writes, "Panic, Q." The article highlights comments that were made by Barr in his congressional testimony this week, and his belief that the Obama administration may have illegally spied on the Trump campaign, and that the Department of Justice is looking into the role that Stefan Halper played, along with a lot of other people. I'm sure they're going to be looking at Joseph Mifsud and some other players involved with UK intelligence. So, moving along. This was one of Barr's comments on spying that kind of just freaked out a whole lot of people.
I think spying on a political campaign is a big deal. It's a big deal. Generation I grew up in, which was the Vietnam War period, you know, people were all concerned about spying on.
All right, so Barr's comments come out just saying that he believes that the Obama administration may have illegally spied on the Trump campaign. Freaked out a lot of people. I'm going to get to some of that in just a minute. Wanted to go to something else. And that has to do with another comment that Barr made. Now let me pull this up. You can listen to this clip here, short one.
The Office of the Inspector General has a pending investigation of the FISA process in the Russian investigation, and I expect that will be complete probably in May or June, I am told. All
right. So Q, back in February, gave us kind of a flow chart of the events that are going to happen in the prosecution of corrupt people. And that flow chart is, first, the Mueller report would come out, then we would get declassification of a lot of different materials. Carter Page's FISA application, the 20 pages that are still redacted. We would also get in the D-class Bruce Orr's 302s, the Gang of Eight briefing material, Comey, Page, Strzok, Andrew McCabe, all of their text messages that have to do with the Russia investigation. So those things will be declassified. That's coming next. Then we have the Inspector General's report. Then we have truth, and then we have justice. Well, now Barr is telling us that he has been told the Inspector General's report will be out May or June. I'm not going to be too surprised if we don't see it until July, actually. I always kind of figure that their estimates of time are a little bit optimistic. So I would look for the Inspector General's report to come out June or July, probably realistically. And that means declassification is somewhere between now and when the Inspector General's report come out. So we should be seeing that in the next coming weeks. I would say maybe a month or a little longer. But we do know that the declassification, according to Q, is going to come out before the Inspector General report. So we should get that before summer. All right, moving along. Let's see, covered that. And there's been a lot of people that are attacking Q. Scott Adams is one of the people who doesn't really like Q. And he posted a couple days ago, who killed Q? And he tagged in there Ginger McQueen, Seb Gorka, and Jack Posobiec, people who don't really care for Q. I suspect, and I just kind of wonder, if Q showed up on the board just to troll people who were celebrating the death of Q, because Q hadn't posted in a while, and then I think Q just came back to troll them a little bit. We know that Q does like trolling people. So, speaking of panic, that's the main theme of this broadcast. If you just look at some big name accounts on Twitter yesterday, it was obvious a lot of people were panicked. This is Amy Siskind. What's happening to people? Trump's newly appointed Attorney General is espousing disproven right-wing conspiracy theories about Trump being spied on in a Senate hearing, while Trump uses terms like coup and treason to reporters to describe the people who investigated him! Exclamation mark. A little bit of panic there. Jack Posobiec tweeted out, Barr just nuked QAnon. He's announcing his spying investigation publicly. There was never any secret investigation, nor ever a reason for anyone to be kept secret. No secret Huber grand jury. Mueller wasn't a white hat. There are no sealed indictments. Barr begins now. So Posobiec was basically saying that nothing has been happening. There's been no investigations. Barr is starting everything new now. It all begins. Well, that is not actually true. Barr mentioned specifically to Congress in his testimony that these investigations have already been underway and they are going to be continuing. So Barr is not starting anew. These have been going on for a long time. This, I found an interesting tweet from Eric Holder, who said when there is a predicate, a legitimate basis, it's called investigating, not spying. I'm confident that the people at the DOJ and FBI conducted themselves in an appropriate way. No evidence to suggest otherwise. I think Mr. Holder is going to be proven wrong, actually. This was Chuck Schumer. Attorney General Barr admitted he has no evidence to support his claim that spying on the Trump campaign did occur. Attorney General Barr must retract his statement immediately or produce evidence to back it up. Right, so Barr is going to be dragging evidence into a committee hearing where there's no judge and no jury? Yeah, I don't think so. And if the Attorney General doesn't have evidence, I don't think he would make that kind of a statement. Richard Blumenthal, Barr must retract his unfounded, irresponsible claim that American law enforcement spied on the Trump campaign. The only spies interfering in the 2016 campaign were Russian ones. All right. Adam Schiff had to get into the act. The casual suggestion by the nation's top law enforcement officer of spying may please Donald Trump, who rails against a deep state coup, but it strikes another destructive blow to our democratic institutions. There's all kinds of panic. This is Nancy Pelosi's tweet. Attorney General Barr is not the Attorney General of Donald Trump. He's the Attorney General of the United States. It's about time he started acting like it. So, lots of very angry people. Oh, I did want to say this. As you watch these corrupt people panic as they become the ones who are under investigation and indicted, I think it's good that we remember to pray for them, because God wants to turn their hearts toward him and use it as a testimony to his goodness. So keep these people in prayer. And I'm not saying they're not going to face justice, but I am saying we need to keep them in prayer. Former Director of National Intelligence, James Clapper. It is stunning and scary that Attorney General Barr would raise the spying allegation. Well, only if you are a member of the deep state. All right, Sean Davis. Guy that I follow on Twitter. He's actually a pretty good writer. That sound you hear is the corrupt federal intelligence officials and the corrupt reporters to whom they leaked with abandon, scurrying for cover. The reckoning is coming. It sure is. Matt Miller. Just an outrageous thing for the Attorney General to say. First, there is zero evidence of this. Second, it's under investigation by the DOJ and IG, and he should wait until that's done. Third, how about defending the people who work for him rather than repeating right-wing conspiracy theories? Actually, Barr has supported the people in the FBI, the Department of Justice. He has only talked about issues at the very top levels. Jennifer Rubin. Instead of impeaching Trump, why don't we impeach Barr? So, yes, a little bit of panic there among people who have a lot to lose if things don't go their way. All right, Q posted this morning. I'm just going to read it to you. If we are merely a LARP, asking questions on the chance, why are we being attacked daily by some of the world's biggest media companies, social media companies, deliberately applying censorship and banning, shills paid and inserted to disrupt, like Media Matters, blue checkmark, coordinated attacks, etc. All for a conspiracy on the chance, all for a LARP. Why is there a constant flow of disinformation being pushed regarding Q? Here's an example. The disinformation push regarding Mueller being a white hat. A lot of people who are critical of Q say that Q said Mueller was a white hat. Well, Q actually never said Mueller was a white hat. Q has painted Mueller as possibly a white hat, possibly a black hat, going both ways because disinformation is necessary, and part of Q's mission is to keep the deep state guessing. But if you want to tell your audience that Q is fake, you just say, oh, Q has always said that Mueller's a white hat, and we know that he's not. So, continuing here, Q says, fake and false narrative, think blockade, Mueller was the blockade, to keep Trump from doing what he was doing. When you can't attack the information directly, you attack the source. If that fails, you create false, misleading information, basically lies about what Q has said, to discredit knowing, select, unaware followers who would not take the time to self-corroborate the claims. And that is why I recommend everybody read Q's posts for yourself, do your own research, do your own decodes. Those same vehicles and tactics are being used by the fake news media. Logical thinking always wins. Nothing can stop what is coming. As the targets turn to the other side, the enemies of the president, the attacks will intensify. We have the source, Q. We have the source as a reference to Julian Assange being arrested this morning. This is just an example of a post from Q talking about Robert Mueller, SC, special counsel. And Q said, are you confused? This is in the bottom half of this post. SC targeting who? Is the special counsel on the team? Is the special counsel off the team? Questions reveal answers. Time will tell. Q. So again, Q has never actually said that Mueller was, a white hat working with Trump. And that has irritated a lot of people. I have a lot of people, and they're like, we want to know, is Mueller a white hat or a black hat? And I've always been like, we don't know. We're not going to know until the end. Same with Rosenstein. So that's just one argument that they're using to try to discredit Q. Now let's go to Assange. And a lot of people were on Twitter this morning weighing in on Julian Assange's arrest. I put out a tweet. I'm not going to comment with my own views publicly on what that meant until Q posted. And a little while later, Q posted. So now I can tell you what I think about Assange. That last sentence there, we have the source. We're going to look into that. Last June, WikiLeaks took their own little swing at Q. They posted this tweet. It's a link to an article basically slamming Q for being a conspiracy theory. And WikiLeaks specifically said, why is Q leading anti-establishment Trump voters to embrace regime change and neoconservatism? So Q responded to that tweet by WikiLeaks. Desperate agencies do stupid things. Dead cat bounce. Dead cat bounce is an investing term when a stock is in a long downtrend and the price is just dropping. A little tiny blip upward is called a dead cat bounce because If you drop a dead cat from high enough, you can make it bounce just a little bit. Q then wrote, "You may have the site, we have the source." So Q is telling WikiLeaks, look, you may have your Twitter account, you may have, WikiLeaks site, but we have control of Assange. And so there's a link there to the tweet by WikiLeaks. Q wrote, "Panic is good, panic is right. July 2018, the month the world discovered the truth. Conspiracy no more. Time to feed Q." All right, so Q in today's drop this morning reminded us attacks will intensify. We have the source. And that just means, I think, that President Trump and his people, they have got control of Assange, and they're going to use Assange for what they need. And what does that mean? Well, I'll tell you here in just a minute. The POTUS Schedule Twitter account tweeted this out when asked about Julian Assange's arrest this morning. He's aware of what's happening to Assange and said a determination on him will be made by Attorney General Barr. So the president is being, I think, very wise about this. He's just letting the DOJ take care of it. He needs to distance himself from it because optics do matter. And Running the Race posted this this morning. For those who've been concerned about 8chan and the fact that the board owner stepped down, there is a new board owner who was confirmed by the previous board owner through a trip code. Running the Race posted this. So everything is cool on 8chan as far as we know, nothing to worry about. Wanted to bring this up. This is a post by Q from July 25th of last year. And Q wrote, "What if the UK government worked hand in hand with the Hussein administration to sabotage the 2016 election?" Well, most of us know that actually did happen. There was a surveillance campaign. It involved UK intelligence and probably other nations that are in the Five Eyes Agreement. And then Q writes, "Data collection, voice, video, bugging, creation of a fake intel dossier using XSpy, the Steele dossier. Co-sponsored insurance policy regarding POTUS election." That's Peter Strzok's reference to the insurance policy. So you have PS, Peter Strzok, LP, Lisa Page, no name, that's John McCain, Clapper, Brennan, Susan Rice, LL, Loretta Lynch, Hillary Clinton, Bill Clinton, Hussein, and 22 other people in the administration and probably Congress. So Q then asks, what if Intel masked penetrations to frame Russia? CrowdStrike? Q has suggested, and I think this is corroborated by the interviews that Hannity has done with Julian Assange, that the DNC emails were not hacked by Russia. They were leaked by Seth Rich, who got a little irritated when he found out what was happening with the DNC and the Clinton campaign. So my guess is, and this is what Q has hinted at, that Seth Rich leaked the DNC emails to Julian Assange, who published them. DNC hires CrowdStrike to make it look as if Russia did the hacking. All right, then Q writes, servers. Q has said we have the servers. SR, Seth Rich, JA, Julian Assange. Why does the UK government desperately want Assange? Because Assange has evidence that is going to incriminate them. Think source files, the more you know. Q. So I believe Assange was arrested at this time and is being brought to the States under the cover of, its cover story, that he's going to be prosecuted. I think what they really want is it's time to get his testimony and his evidence entered into evidence in the prosecution of the deep state. That's just kind of how I'm reading this all. And sometimes you can gauge the battlefield and the players by who aligns with and against a person. This is a tweet from John Podesta this morning. He's kind of poking fun at Assange. Is there vegan food in UK jails? Well, if John Podesta is kind of attacking Assange, that tells me that Assange is probably someone we should be aligning with, not against. I don't know if this is related, but Julian's Rum account on Twitter kind of did this dig. Assange's indictment was filed in the District Court for the Eastern District of Virginia on March 6th of last year. and here is the indictment. And it involves Assange assisting Chelsea Manning, formerly known as Bradley Manning, in basically hacking a DoD password into a top secret computer. All right, so that's the charge against Assange, and this is from, I think, 2010 is when this happened. So it's an old incident. Q had been discussing Edward Snowden at that time, and the fact that he managed to get through customs in Hong Kong and then Russia while a security hold had been placed on his passport. If you go back to the first week of March, Q was talking a lot about that. There were photos of China, Hong Kong, I believe, and there was this little game of cat and mouse going on between Q and Snowden. So that's the context of this. All right, this is March 6th, March 7th. The day after that indictment was filed in the Eastern District of Virginia on Assange, Q posted this: "How did Snowden clear customs immigration in Hong Kong after the public release? Why wouldn't he first travel to the final destination prior to the public release? If wanted by the U.S. government, would he be cleared to travel? Who provided support to escape? Who was the U.S. after during this time? J.A. Julian Assange. Have you learned and eliminated L6? Use logic, Q." Now, I am going to confess ignorance. I don't know what L6 means. I don't know if this is related to any of that. But it's just interesting that the day after Assange's indictment is filed, Q posted about Assange and asked him if he learned and eliminated L6. So, still a whole lot of questions, still some mysteries. I don't really know what is going on with all of this yet, but I think the arrest of Assange and his extradition to the U.S. is probably timed so that he can provide testimony evidence against the deep state. All right, that is all I have for now. Q has not posted any more this afternoon. It has been nice having a little break. I am working on my first Q book, for those of you who are wondering. A couple more months probably before it comes out. Keep the president in prayer, keep Q and the team in prayer, keep Denise and I in prayer. We are doing very well. For those of you who have been wondering, we're doing groovy. We don't enjoy the attacks against us, but your prayers have helped a lot. Love you all. Take care. Catch you on the next broadcast.